We are here with Dr. Fontaine, and we are talking about advancements in hearing technology. So, what are some advancements in hearing technology?
So over the years, things have really evolved as far as hearing aid technology. So one of the common things I joke with my patients is that we're demystifying, what was the dinosaur sitting behind the ear once upon a time. So hearing aids now are customizable per patient. So we do the hearing test, and that's how the devices are programmed. Hearing aids are very different now in the sense that they will do various things for soft sounds versus loud sounds. So they sound much more natural than before. There's also a lot of options that are new and cool in technology as far as connecting to your cell phones, as well as being able to be used as a remote device. So there's a lot of cool strides in technology, just like anything else. Laptops, cell phones, they're always moving forward, and there's always research and new devices coming out.
So, what are some red flags that people may need a hearing aid?
So some of the common things that we'll hear from patients who have put off getting a hearing test and are nervous about being identified with hearing loss are that they will describe that people sound as if they're mumbling. So one of the biggest things is high-pitched hearing losses, which are very common, give us our clarity of words. So if someone can't hear S, F, and TH type sounds, things start to sound a little muffled and not as sharp and clear as it once did. So muffled speech is a big thing, as well as having trouble in background noise. So especially this time of the year, holidays, we'll have patients say, oh, I went to Thanksgiving, and now, at the dinner table, I really couldn't follow conversation, especially if they weren't looking at me, because a lot of times we use lips to help fill in the gaps when we miss words. So I'd say muffled speech or things sound kind of mumbly, or we're listening to background noise, and challenges with that are the two big things.
So, what are some common hearing concerns you see with children?
So I'd say day to day, the most common thing that we see in the clinic working with ear, nose, and throat doctors is that children are more prone to ear infections. So whether that's, along with your seasonal cold or allergies, when our ears get full or have any type of fluid behind them, ear infections are very common. The other big thing is speech delay or speech concerns, because speech and hearing goes hand in hand. So if you have a young child, say even before 2 or so, and they're just learning to speak, if there's ear infections present, that makes their world sound like they're underwater. Even for children in elementary age, if hearing isn't where it should be and there's some type of middle ear or eardrum issue going on, that can make their world sound muffled. So I would say speech concerns or delays, as well as ear infections, are the two common things that we see. But children can also be born with hearing loss, so that's something else we do in audiology, is we test hearing at a very young age, the day they're born. So we want to make sure that anyone who's identified with hearing loss is treated as soon as possible.
So, what would your advice be for people working in loud environments?
So anyone who's working in loud environments, I would recommend first just trying to assess what is the level or the volume of where you're working is. So there's a lot of apps out there that you can actually have on your cell phone. If you have a smartphone, you can download them, and it tells you the decibel reading. And so various levels of sound can be damaging to hearing if the individual listens to that at a certain length of time. So even our cell phones, sometimes with music, can be turned up too loud. So there's various charts out there that provide the different lengths of time allotted for various loudnesses of sound, but definitely to make sure it's a safe listening level, and if it's going to be too loud, to make sure you wear hearing protection, because cumulative noise over the lifetime can lead to hearing loss that's permanent.
So, what's the proper way to remove earwax?
So the proper way to remove earwax is to not use Q-tips, which is funny. It's the first thing you'll see on the back of a Q-tip box. It says, do not use in the ears. And the reason that is that way is because the diameter or the width of the Q-tip is the same width as our ear canal. So if you put the Q-tip in the ear canal, what happens is when you see wax on the end of it, when you pull it out, you maybe took that little piece up, but what you're actually doing is pushing it farther and deeper into the ear. So ultimately, if it gets stuck in there and it becomes impacted, you have to go see an ear, nose, and throat specialist, or sometimes family care providers can also irrigate the wax and flush it out. But from day to day, I would definitely recommend not using Q-tips. You can certainly use it on the outer portion, if you have a little bit of water from the shower or something like that. But generally, you want to steer away from Q-tips. And if you need to use something over the counter, there's different earwax softening agents out there, such as Debrox or other brands. They're in everyday pharmacies and grocery stores, but they will soften the wax, and then it will migrate out naturally itself.
So, what are some health issues that people might not be aware of that you can help with?
So there's two things. One is the formal word is known as tinnitus or ringing of the ears. So sometimes patients will report having bothersome sounds in their ears, and we are the providers that can help with that. So the second thing that a lot of people aren't aware of is that we are audiologists encompass hearing and balance healthcare. So balance issues can range from anything to feeling dizzy or the room spinning, or feeling like when you get up you're unstable or unsteady or imbalanced, however you want to describe that. So we can do different things to make sure there's no inner ear involvement in what's causing the patient to feel that way, because our inner ear, our organ of hearing, is located right next to our organ of balance is. So sometimes we can do tests to make sure there's nothing from our side of the fence that's contributing to that. And from there, there's different forms depending on what the condition is the patient has after thorough testing and working with a medical doctor. There are different forms of physical therapy that can be very helpful for people to help regain balance and strengthen the different pathways that are being impacted. But also, depending on the dizziness again and what's going on, there's different maneuvers that can help patients feel a little bit better if they are feeling spinny or dizzy.
So if people would like a consultation, how would that work?
So we are able to provide hearing tests. So typically what we recommend is if anyone, whether you're 1 day old or 100 years old, to schedule a hearing test first. So we can test patients of all ages. And from there, depending on what the hearing test results show, say the person needs hearing aids or needs to be referred to a medical doctor, we can arrange a separate time to set that up so we can talk about hearing aids or get you set up with our ear, nose, and throat providers that we work alongside with. And other than that, we obviously are able to answer any questions you might have via the telephone to kind of make sure we route you in the right direction.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for coming in.
This is Melena Abeck for Perrysburg Digital Media Club. Well, thank you so much for coming on board as a student sponsor. What are your thoughts on this program?
Again, I just think this is a great program for anybody because, again, you're getting the news out there, helping people be informed. And again, I like to watch videos. I like to see things locally on my iPad or on my iPhone as I'm eating my lunch or anything. Instead of a newspaper, I do like the video portion of it. So having kids like you come out and interview, I think is great.
So what other community activities do you support?
We're involved in the local chamber, high school sports here in Perrysburg, Children's Miracle Network, and the Perrysburg Police Department programs.
Well, thank you for all you guys do for the community.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on board as a student sponsor. So what are your thoughts on this program?
I think this program is absolutely wonderful. I love that young kids are getting inspired and learning something, keeping them out of trouble, doing things they love, and just growing, because you never know if this is something you want to do one day. This is a great experience for you.
Thank you for all you do for the community.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for coming on board as a student sponsor. What are your thoughts on this program?
We are really involved in the community, and we love sponsoring youth that want to get more involved in careers. So thank you for doing what you do for us.
What other activities are you involved with the community?
We're involved with Perrysburg Rotary, Perrysburg Chamber of Commerce. We're also serve on boards for the YMCA of Greater Toledo, Mobile Meals of Toledo, as well as the Boys and Girls Club of Toledo, and we serve all of those on a regular basis. We do volunteer programs with all of them and just really support the programs that they offer in our community.
Thank you for being our sponsor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being one of our student sponsors. What are your thoughts on this program?
I think it's outstanding to give young people an opportunity to get some experience in the real world, which the real world comes real quickly to you. As you know, you're a senior, and it's going to come to you real quick, and it's great. And as a community small business guy, I'm all about the shop local, live local. All my employees, I have about 12 employees that live locally, and I try to explain to them to shop and support the local schools and businesses as much as possible.
What other community activities are you involved in?
We like to support the various, my church that I go to, and the various schools, basically Perrysburg, Anthony Wayne schools, Maumee schools. Those seem to be the biggest schools locally. And then any kind of local small business owner, I'm all for trying to help out.
Thank you for all that you do for the community.
Well, thank you for your time this morning.